I couldn't be more excited. And the thing about it now, starting on February 5th, is when you refer to Indianapolis, Indiana, you refer to them as world champions.
That was Jim Irsay after the Colts Super Bowl win back in 2007. He was 12 years old when his father acquired the then Baltimore Colts. At 24, he became the youngest general manager in the NFL history, then the youngest owner, spending most of his life with the Colts and bringing the team here to Indianapolis. Over those years, Irsay made a lasting impact on the city on and off the field. Wish TV Colts Insider Kevin Bowen is live with us this morning to talk about Irsay's legacy. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
It's very early in the morning, but obviously he had a huge impact on our city. You've covered the Colts for a long time. First, let's start with you. How are you feeling this morning?
Yeah, certainly rest in peace to Jim Irsay and thoughts of his 3 daughters and 10 grandchildren. But, you know, one of the most influential people, I think, in our city and our state's history. When you think about the downtown shots you see here on the morning news, or even moments like last night with the Pacers, you know, I don't think it's hyperbole to say maybe that doesn't happen without Jim Irsay's impact and steward here of being the owner of the Colts. And you mentioned right there, Hannah, how he worked his way up through the organization, I think is super unique when you look at owners around the league. He didn't simply just come in there and make a bunch of money and, you know, bought the Colts at the age of whatever, 40 or 50 years old. He really worked his way up through the organization with obviously his dad owning the team. And I thought that always made him a bit rare in the owner circle in the NFL. He had a genuine passion for wanting to kind of adopt our city, stand up for our city from an NFL standpoint. And again, I think that's pretty unique in that league.
He did huge things for our city, one of them being helping to bring the Super Bowl here. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, easily one of the most well-known and well-thought-of Super Bowls of any. And at the time, it was probably laughable to think that the city of Indianapolis would be hosting a Super Bowl at some point. But just a roaring success. People around the league still talk about it. I think it's a huge reason why the NFL Combine continues to call Indianapolis home on an annual basis. And I can't emphasize enough, I've been at some Super Bowl meetings and Super Bowl debates, if you will. And the respect that the rest of the league has for the city of Indianapolis and Jim Irsay, I think, was maybe underplayed throughout his ownership of, you know, we weren't just this city that didn't have a NFL team before 1984. We quickly got on the map. And even though the Colts struggled for their first 10 to 15 years here, I think Jim Irsay stood up for the Colts. And I think you needed that type of personality. You needed someone that was going to be a little boisterous, a little bit more outgoing, and kind of let the rest of the NFL world know, like, hey, Indianapolis is here, and we can do things on a grand scale.
Yeah, and people took notice. I mean, bringing on Peyton Manning, doing some huge things on the field, but then also off the field. Talk about his philanthropy, the work that he did.
Yeah, I'd say probably the 2 things that stand out to me the most about Jim Irsay was just the genuine heart. And I know that can sound like something, well, yeah, we can see it and, you know, it's kind of obvious, but I cannot reiterate enough how many things he did behind the scenes that never got to the front of a camera. He had an unbelievable heart and unbelievable passion for helping others and all types of people, and never did it just to hear it, you know, said on the nightly news. And the other thing, too, I think that really stood out to me about Jim Irsay is how much his players loved him. I don't know if this resonates with a lot of people, but Edgerrin James, Dwight Freeney, and Marvin Harrison, all 3 chose Jim Irsay as their presenter for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That is very, very rare for NFL players to pick one person and they pick their owner. And remember, Hannah, Edgerrin James and Dwight Freeney, they didn't finish their careers here. They were let go by the Colts, yet they still chose him as their presenter. So whether it's off the field, the impact we feel philanthropically, or certainly with his own players, he's a special human.
Yeah, you hear that with Pat McAfee and his tribute that he posted about him last night. Something notable, too, with Irsay's legacy is the Kicking the Stigma initiative that will last long beyond him passing here.
Without question. Over $25 million, I believe, has been raised for mental health awareness. Shout out to his daughter, Kaylin Jackson. His youngest daughter as well has been huge in that, just being public with those things. And, you know, I think Jim, especially in his later years, will be the first to tell you addiction, is very real and has impacted his life very directly. So he wanted to make that clear. And I think in the last handful of years, you could make an argument that that's maybe been his greatest cause.
Looking forward to the future, do we have any idea what's next for the organization? Maybe who takes the lead role as owner of the Colts?
Again, 3 daughters, Carly, Casey, and Kaylin, in that order. I would point to Carly Irsay Gordon, the oldest daughter. For those that watch Colts games, they do see her on the sidelines, oftentimes with the headset on. She's routinely at practice. She's really, I would say, run more of the day-to-day operations for the Colts for the better part of the last maybe 5 to 10 years. When Jim has dealt with his issues away from football, she's been the one that's kind of been the spearheader of the three. I mean, certainly anytime you do pass it to a next generation and there's not that singular person, there is some general curiosity of how it will unfold. But all three of them have made it very clear. They've been, they're born here, they grew up here. I have no doubt that they want to keep the franchise here. But again, how it exactly looks, how it's divvied up, remains to be seen.
All right, and we'll be watching, and certainly our hearts are with his 3 daughters this morning. Kevin, thank you so much.
You bet.